Why do some experts believe Xi Jinping may never achieve his goal of conquering the Philippines? On the surface, China's power seems unstoppable. Naval might, bold moves in the South China Sea, and relentless ambition. But beneath the headlines, the real obstacles are hidden. Internal weaknesses, economic strains, and a restless younger generation. The clock may be ticking faster than anyone realizes. True power isn't just about military strength or loyalty. It's about holding together a vast, complex system under mounting pressure. History shows that empires often fall from within, not from outside attack. The real drama is unfolding behind closed doors, in the minds of China's youth, and in the quiet fatigue of its elite. So what is elite fatigue, and why could it be Xi's biggest barrier? Stick around to find out. The Chinese Communist Party presents a facade of unwavering unity to the world. But beneath the surface, a more complex reality exists, one that is rarely seen by outsiders. It's a web of rival factions, each vying for influence and power within the party's hierarchy. And powerful families whose fortunes are intertwined with the party's fate exert their own subtle pressures. Xi's sweeping anti-corruption campaigns, while popular with the public, have also bred quiet resentment among those targeted, especially among the elite, who once enjoyed unchecked privileges and now find themselves under intense scrutiny. These individuals now resist in subtle ways, a form of passive aggression against the central authority. By delaying projects, they can undermine the government's agenda. Dragging their feet on reforms, they stall progress and create bottlenecks in the system. And quietly undermining central directives, they weaken the overall effectiveness of the party's policies. This isn't open rebellion, no dramatic displays of defiance, but a slow, grinding friction, a constant drag on the wheels of progress. That saps momentum from Beijing's grand plans, hindering their ability to achieve their ambitious goals. Xi's unprecedented centralization of power, while seemingly consolidating his authority, has unintended consequences. Makes him appear strong, a leader in complete control. But it also means he alone bears the blame when things inevitably go wrong, a heavy burden for any leader to carry. When things go wrong, there is no one else to share the responsibility. Sycophancy flourishes in such an environment, where loyalty is valued above all else. Officials tell Xi what he wants to hear, reinforcing his existing beliefs and shielding him from uncomfortable truths, not what he needs to know to make informed decisions. Distorting reality at the top, creating a bubble of misinformation and preventing effective governance. Innovation and agility suffer under such a rigid system, stifling creativity and hindering the country's ability to adapt to changing circumstances. As every decision waits for approval from above, creating bottlenecks and slowing down the entire process. The result? A sluggish, risk-averse bureaucracy, more concerned with avoiding mistakes than with achieving results. That can't keep up with the demands of a rapidly changing world, of a complex multi-decade project requiring flexibility and adaptability. Like subjugating the Philippines, a long-term strategic goal that requires careful planning and execution. The more Xi tightens his grip, the more resistance he encounters. The more the system slows down, grinding to a halt under the weight of its own bureaucracy. The whispers of discontent may be quiet, but they are persistent. But together, they can stall even the most ambitious initiatives, even the boldest ambitions, carefully laid out and meticulously planned. In the end, the internal dynamics of the party will play a crucial role. The party's apparent unity, carefully cultivated and projected to the outside world, masks a deep, paralyzing fatigue, a weariness that permeates the entire system. The machinery of the state is vast and complex, a sprawling network of interconnected institutions, but it's running on empty, depleted of the energy and enthusiasm needed to drive progress. Elite fatigue isn't dramatic. It doesn't manifest in open revolt or public displays of dissent, but it's deadly to grand visions, slowly eroding the foundations of ambitious projects. The real threat to Xi's plans may not come from external enemies. Maybe the silent resistance, the subtle acts of defiance that undermine his authority from within. Of those he needs most to implement his policies and achieve his goals. The Great Hall's whispers, the hushed conversations and secret meetings that take place behind closed doors, could be the loudest obstacle of all, a chorus of dissent that drowns out the voices of progress. China's economic miracle powered its rise, but now the engine is sputtering. The property crisis has shattered confidence, with collapsing giants like Evergrande symbolizing deeper problems. Debt is everywhere, from local governments to massive infrastructure projects that can't pay for themselves. As budgets tighten, leaders must choose support the domestic economy or fund costly military ambitions abroad. Every yuan spent on warships is a yuan not spent on jobs or social stability. Economic anxiety is growing, and the government's ability to deliver prosperity is in doubt. The classic guns versus butter dilemma is more real than ever. As resources dwindle, the political will for risky foreign adventures fades. The ambition to conquer the Philippines may remain, but the wallet to pay for it is running dry. Without economic strength, even the boldest plans can collapse. Xi Jinping harbored ambitious plans. He hoped to reshape the global order, envisioning a new era of international relations. This was all to accommodate China's meteoric rise on the world stage, fueled by its economic prowess. But the world, it seems, is pushing back against this vision, creating headwinds for Beijing's aspirations. The era of quiet acceptance of China's growing influence is definitively over. Strategic competition, characterized by both cooperation and rivalry, is the new norm in international affairs. Alliances like AUKUS, a trilateral security pact, and the Quad, a strategic dialogue between four nations, are direct responses to the shifting geopolitical landscape. They are a reaction to China's increasing assertiveness, particularly in regions like the South China Sea. This is raising the stakes in the global power game. It serves as a deterrent for any aggressive move that might destabilize the region. Even developing nations who were once eager for Chinese investment in infrastructure projects are now increasingly wary of debt traps and unsustainable financial burdens. They are also concerned about the potential for political leverage that comes with such dependence. Sri Lanka's Hambantota port, a cautionary tale, stands as a stark warning to other nations. Countries now seek a more balanced approach to international partnerships. They prioritize independence and self-determination, not dependence on any single power. This shift in global sentiment is making it harder for China to build widespread support for its more assertive foreign policy actions. The global narrative surrounding China has undeniably shifted. It's moving away from simply accommodating China's rise to actively containing its potential for overreach. Any aggressive move against the Philippines, for example, would trigger immediate and widespread diplomatic condemnation from the international community. It could also lead to severe economic sanctions and, depending on the circumstances, possibly even a coordinated military response. The world is no longer as easily divided as it once was, nor is it largely indifferent to China's actions. Instead, it's becoming increasingly united in its resistance to unchecked expansionism. Xi Jinping now faces a far more hostile international environment than he likely anticipated at the outset of his ambitious global strategy. This reality presents a significant challenge, one far more complex than he ever anticipated. The compliant global stage, the one he hoped for, has effectively vanished. International resistance to China's ambitions is now a powerful brake, a significant impediment on Beijing's ambitions for global dominance. In Southeast Asia, the expectation was that smaller nations would eventually align with China's power. Instead, countries like the Philippines are strengthening alliances with the US, granting access to key military bases and preparing for long-term resistance. National pride and public support make it politically impossible for Filipino leaders to back down. Vietnam and Japan are also modernizing their militaries, determined to deter aggression. These nations are becoming porcupines, too dangerous to attack easily. Any attempt to conquer the Philippines risks igniting a wider regional war, with the US and others ready to respond. The region is no longer passive. It's armed, allied, and vigilant. The strategic landscape is far more hazardous for Beijing than ever before. China's younger generation grew up in prosperity, not struggle. Their priorities are personal jobs, housing and freedom, not distant territorial ambitions. The pressures of modern life and high youth unemployment are more urgent than the fate of the South China Sea. A costly military campaign would mean sacrifice and lower living standards, something this generation may not accept. Digitally connected and globally aware, they're pragmatic, not ideological. The party's legitimacy depends on delivering growth, not war. The dream of conquering the Philippines may not be one the young are willing to inherit. Maps show the Philippines as a strategic target, but they can't capture the spirit of its people. Centuries of resistance have forged a fierce national identity. An invasion wouldn't end with a military victory. The real battle would begin with a nationwide insurgency. The archipelago's terrain is perfect for guerrilla warfare, and its people are no strangers to struggle. Occupation would be a costly, endless drain on China's resources and reputation. The PLA lacks experience in counterinsurgency and would face a hostile, determined population. History shows superpowers can be bled dry by local resistance. The Filipino spirit is an invisible shield, one Beijing may be underestimating. Conquest assumes the people can be subdued, but history says otherwise. The ultimate obstacle may be the unbreakable will of the Philippines. China's technological advances are impressive, but they come with hidden risks. The PLA's reliance on high-tech systems creates fragility. Disrupt the networks and the military can be blinded. The US and its allies are ready with cyber and electronic warfare capabilities. China's tech industry still depends on foreign semiconductors, especially from Taiwan and South Korea. In a conflict, these supply chains would be cut, crippling China's war effort. Trade restrictions have already exposed these vulnerabilities. The very technology that fuels Xi's confidence could become his Achilles heel. In a real crisis, China's high-tech edge could vanish overnight. The double-edged sword of technology may cut deepest at home. We've seen the hidden forces, the subtle currents that are subtly threatening Xi Jinping's ambitions, internal friction, the quiet disagreements simmering beneath the surface, economic strain, the pressures of maintaining growth and stability, global resistance, the pushback against China's growing influence and generational change, the shifting values of a new generation. But perhaps the most insidious obstacle, the one that truly undermines his grand designs, is elite fatigue. A deep weariness, a profound sense of exhaustion among China's ruling class. Years of purges and relentless pressure have made officials intensely risk-averse, more focused on personal survival, on navigating the treacherous political landscape, than on bold action, on taking the necessary steps to achieve ambitious goals. The safest path, the most predictable course, is simply to maintain the status quo, avoid mistakes at all costs, and patiently wait for change to happen around them. This creates inertia, a paralyzing slowness at every level of the bureaucracy, stalling even the most ambitious plans, grinding progress to a halt. Conquering the Philippines, for example, would require immense energy, a relentless drive, significant risk-taking, a willingness to gamble, and unwavering unity. But elite fatigue ensures the exact opposite, fostering division and inaction. Xi can issue commands from the highest office, but a tired, deeply cautious bureaucracy, burdened by its own anxieties, simply won't be able to deliver the results he desires. The greatest wall he faces, the most formidable barrier, isn't the threat of foreign navies, the presence of rival fleets, but the silent resistance, the quiet opposition of his own lieutenants, the very people he relies on. Sometimes the most powerful obstacle, the most difficult challenge to overcome, is the quiet decision, the unspoken choice, to simply do nothing at all. The clock is ticking relentlessly, and it may very well run out, time may expire, before Xi's grand dream, his ambitious vision, can ever be fully realized. Subscribe for more insightful analysis and keep wondering about the future. Don't miss out on future explorations and discoveries. Hit subscribe and ring the bell to stay updated with our new content. Your journey of wonder continues with every video. Stay connected and engaged on social media. Continue the conversation, follow us. Thank you for being a part of the Have You Ever Wondered community. Keep wondering, keep discovering. Until next time.